Hey everybody, welcome to Combat Saturday for July 11th, 2020. I'm your host, DM Gallibond. Alright everybody, today on Combat Saturday we are going to be looking at Gunpowder. Gunpowder is one of those, it's really considered a weapon item in D&D that's kind of rare, but depending on the setting that you're using for your game, you may or may not encounter this. So let's go ahead and take a look at Gunpowder, starting with the 5th edition rule set as we usually do. Alright, in 5th edition, Gunpowder can be used in a couple of different ways. It can be either used as a propellant for a bullet in a pistol or rifle, or it can be used in a bomb, and it's sold in two different formats. One is a keg, a small keg of gunpowder, which will produce a bomb that deals 7d6 damage. And then the powder for a powder horn, if you blow up an entire powder horn, it's 3d6 damage there for that. And then you can also, as an alternative use, set fire to an ounce of gunpowder outside of a gun, and then it will flare up for a single round, shedding bright light in a 30-foot radius and dim light for an additional 30 feet. And, kind of related to those is dynamite. That's obviously it's TNT, so it's slightly different. And grenades, which are fragmentation or a smoke grenade. All right, and they're considered Renaissance items. A bomb made of dynamite or bomb made of gunpowder costs 150 gold pieces and weighs 1 pound. A gunpowder keg costs 250 gold pieces and weighs a total of 20 pounds. And then a powder horn is 35 gold pieces and weighs a total of 2 pounds. Now, gunpowder has been around for a while, and the first place that it was actually alluded to as being something that might be found in a D&D world is actually in 2nd edition. And there, they introduced something called smoke powder, which is not exactly the same as gunpowder, and it's kind of a magical substance. And it's, a steely blue granular substance, a fine white powder. Each one is inert and harmless. However, when equal portions of the two are mixed together, smoke powder is complete and dangerous. And touched by flame, powder explodes with great force, smoke, and noise. Varies the amount of smoke powder used, and it gives you a spoonful causes 1d2 points of damage, which is enough for a large firecracker, or a single charge for an arquebus, which is a type of really primitive rifle. Increasing amount doubling causes 2d2 points of damage, triple causes 3d2. And an explosion capable of causing 30 points of damage or 15 charges has a 5-foot radius blast capable of causing 50 or more points of damage, have a radius of 15 feet, and the effect items and fortifications as would a giant's blow. When discovered, a pouch of smoke powder contains 3d6 charges. And charges from several pouches of smoke powder can be combined to create bigger, more damaging explosions. So it's kind of, instead of using actual gunpowder, they say, all right, you can have this magical substance in your game that um, it allows allows for the fantasy of alchemy and stuff like that, as opposed to, chemistry and science being used to make gunpowder. Now, as far as I'm concerned, in your game, if you want there to be kind of like real world chemistry, world science, and you can have players that want to go through the trouble of finding different things and mixing them together in the right proportions to make gunpowder, then go ahead and let them. It doesn't seem like there's any reason why you shouldn't do that. All right, and also the important thing to notice is that both the early editions where this appears, gunpowder is only mentioned in the DM's guide. It's not mentioned in the player's handbook because they want this to be something that the DM has the option for and give them the rules and everything, but they don't want it to be something that the players are like, oh, hey, can we do this? Can we do this? I see there's rules for it. All right, and just as in 5th edition, in 3rd edition, they classified gunpowder as Renaissance weapons, and there's some exotic weapons for one-handed ranged weapons of pistol and two-handed ranged weapons of a musket. Those are very expensive. Again, they deal fairly good damage, 1d8 or 1d10, and 1d10 or 1d12. Range increment is not great because, of course, anybody who has read or studied or seen, historical things on the History Channel or stuff like that about old firearms knows that those old muskets and old rifles were horribly inaccurate, partly because they were uh, firing a spherical ball, which, depending on the way it spins, and the fact that the lead balls were never exact spheres, because oftentimes they were made in the field with a tool that would leave like a seam or something on it, and also because of the fact that um, there was no rifling in the barrel. Modern rifles are really accurate because they have a scoring or rifling in the barrel that actually gets the bullet to spin. And that spinning bullet has kind of a gyroscopic effect that winds up keeping it more or less um, straight in its angle of flight relative to how it came out of the end of the barrel. And so they have longer range and more accuracy due to that. And of course, they do piercing damage. And gunpowder burns. 1 ounce consumes itself in a round and illuminates like a sunrod or even explodes in the right conditions. Safely used to prepare a bullet. An ounce of gunpowder is needed to prepare a bullet. Gunpowder is sold in small kegs. 20-pound keg total. Hey, just like 5th edition, but 15 pounds of actual gunpowder. So the keg itself weighs another 5 pounds. So that gives you an idea that the keg is pretty hefty, pretty heftily constructed. 250 gold. And then powder horns are 2-pound capacity and weigh, in total weight, 35 gold pieces for a full powder horn. If gunpowder gets wet, it cannot be used to fire a bullet. So, if you're running the kind of game where you track inventory and you give your characters, you give your players firearms, then you would have to track both their quantity of powder and their quantity of bullets. Because unlike unlike modern shells where the powder is built into the shell and you just load the shells um, into the firearm, and you don't have to have it. In olden times, you had everything was separate. You had your musket ball or your pistol or your shot. Uh, your shot was in one container, and then you had the actual powder was in another container. So you'd pour the powder in, and then you'd have to take um, something that would actually fill up the barrel, wadding or packing, and oftentimes that was stuff like little bits of cotton or wool or stuff, and you would jam that down and tamp it down on top of the powder, and then you take the musket ball and you would put that in on top of the shot, because if you didn't have that wadding, the powder would burn, and a lot of times a lot of the force would just go around the musket ball, and so the musket ball would come out but not be going particularly far, and it might just come out and hit the ground 25 feet in front of your gun and not do a whole lot. That um, packing helped to make sure, and that wadding helped to make sure that the entire force was used to eject the ball, and then the actual wadding itself uh, out of the uh, out of the end of the gun. So uh, you have to track all that stuff if you're going to do it. So that's another reason or another thing to think about. And if you're the kind of dungeon master who likes to really keep your players on your toes, you can force them to think about all that kind of stuff and make sure that they have all of that available. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today for our discussion of gunpowder in D&D. I have been DM Gallibond. If you like the stuff that we do here on this channel, go ahead and subscribe down at the bottom. Click the post notification bell. That will allow you to know every time we put a new video up on the channel. Hopefully we will see you back here next week for another edition of Combat Saturday. Please keep in mind we do a whole range of weekly videos. You can find out that information on the YouTube channel. Look at the description down below. Find out how you can follow me and follow the live streams that I do as well on my Twitch channel. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a wonderful week, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye, everybody.